for employees to understand the concept of net pay, because net pay is what eventually gets into your hand after all deductions. Yeah. And that's the basic premise for your financial planning, because you have to start budgeting with what is in your hands. So it's very important to understand what is in your hands, because without understanding what is in your hands, how are you going to do the planning? You'll be guessing, and you end up having a bloated budget, a budget that is twice the size of your net pay. So it's very, very fundamental to understand one's net pay.
Amazing.
That's why in many cases, depending on which organization you work for or where you are based, do not start spending before you see your pay slip.
Mr. Kabanda, maybe you can also talk about the aspect of our financial planning in creating a budget. You know, it is an issue which a lot of our employees tend to, I know you get to plan sometimes, but before you even receive that salary, I mean, you can't even remember where the money is going. But maybe you can also talk about the financial planning aspect when it comes to budgeting, based on your understanding. How is it supposed to be done?
Yeah, so like what Mr. Kangwa was saying, really as an employee, once you start employment, it's important that you really sit down and understand what that salary is. Sometimes, yes, the employer will give you the gross, and that's why it's important to have serious conversations as an employee with the employer. When they tell you the salary is 10,000, what is this 10,000? Don't go home now and start borrowing everywhere or start getting chickens. Let's celebrate, my salary is 10,000, because it will not be 10,000. Mr. Kanga was talking about net pay. It's important you have a conversation. If there's an HR person there, have that conversation so that you understand. Okay, maybe my net pay will be 7,000 or 8,000. If they told you your salary is 5,000, what exactly is your net pay? Because remember, when the deductions are done for NAPSA, NEMA, pay as you earn, and any other deductions that the employer may effect, as may be allowable by law, you find that the salary that they told you is actually reduced. And that's where the financial planning aspect comes in, because now you have to see, from what I have gotten, what is it that I need to spend on. Yeah.
You know, before I go to Mr. Kangwa, Mr. Kabanda, do you know it's very much hard for employees to make a budget when it comes to salaries. Yeah. But maybe can you also highlight us on how it's supposed to be done? Because I believe a lot of people struggle when it comes to budgeting. I might think, okay, I have a 10,000 salary coming on the 30th or 5th of next month, but how am I supposed to budget for this amount of money?
Yeah, budget. You know, people actually, a lot of people we talk to during trainings, you find people don't like budgets, because it seems like you're now being stingy. You know, it's restricting you. It's not a good thing. You even hear some people say, no, if I go in ShopRite, once I enter from this side, I'll be pushing my trolley. I'll be able to see from the shelves where I know what I spend on. So as long as I'm seeing those things, I'll put in the trolley. Then I know what I should spend on. Really, the budget is a very important tool in an employee's life, and it's important that really at the beginning understand the salary, like we said, because this issue of just spending without having a budget, it creates now unnecessary problems for employees, because your salary is not changing every month. It's almost constant unless there's an increment, or you're going to receive some bonus, or those what we call them, performance incentives. Yeah. So if your salary, let's say, is 5,000, you should make a budget within that 5,000. So if your salary is, like we said, is 5,000, you should now sit down and say, from this 5,000, which is like fixed income as it stands, what if you don't have your own house, maybe you're renting, you should candidly say, how much am I spending on rent? Put it there. If you are staying in a place where there are those places where there is security, you have to know contributions. Yes. How much? So if this is
garbage collection,
the garbage collection, so list all the expenses, and actually, even as we are starting this show, we will ask the viewers sit down as we are talking. By the end of the show, let them give us some feedback in terms of how they even see the salary and the expenses. One of the things that you are going to see, let's talk about the same 5,000. In the 5,000, you say, I'm going to stay in a house, renting a house, you say how much? 2,500?
Yes.
So from your 5,000 minus 2,500, because that's what you have said you want to stay there. And by the way, that's almost 50% of your salary. So then let's add the amount for let's say security. Maybe it's 150. I don't know how much the people contributed, like those who stay in certain communities and water and whatnot. You find 500 is gone. Add the cost of transport. You need to be alive to the fact that you need to go for work.
Yeah.
So if a bus, how much is bus? Let's say 20 kwacha
Yes.
going 20 kwacha back, let's just put it at 50 kwacha. And you are working for 22 days,
Yes.
in a month. So
it's over 1,000.
1,000 over 1,000 is gone. Remember, we reached like 3,000. You have loaded the 1,000 for transport, 1,200. You are now on 4,200. Let's load. We have not even started talking about the food. On the food, you're going to have, and separate food from groceries. We see when we do these workshops, people are saying groceries. And in groceries, that's where there's meat, there's meal. No. Your budget should show this is a line for food. That is your meals and everything. Then have a line for groceries. Okay? Then you're putting everything. Have a line for your savings. How much are you actually putting intentionally as a money you're going to save? If you're adding up by now, we are already past the 5,000. You add the line, how much is the money for investment? So the whole idea is, even for talk time that you're going to be using in a month, you need to budget for it. The money you're going to give your parents or girlfriends or baby mamas or whatever it is that you're spending, or whoever you're spending, put a line there. If you're going to be going to school, there should be a line for money for school. So in the end, what you should have is really a full budget. Top down, you list everything. We have just highlighted a few items. There are so many things that could go into the budget, including your vacations. If you are going to say, is it in December I'm going to Samfia? Is it October? These times where people go to Siavonga or South Africa or Tanzania, I don't know, where people go to have fun. Put a line there. There are issues around the medicals. If the children are going to be sick, where is the emergency fund? So you are going to have a whole full list of your expenses listed, and then you are now seeing this expense you have to have listed versus your income. Where are we? And if you are going to be two of you, maybe you are married, husband and wife, you put together your incomes, or I don't know, there are a lot of these dynamics in families where, what do they say, his money is our money, and the woman's money is our money. So we don't know the dynamics in each individual family, but the key issue is to look at what are the expenses, and genuinely so interrogating each expense that you have to incur, so that by the end of the day, you now have a budget, you know what you're spending on, and it actually removes all that excitement that we see per month, and that Zangena, why are you getting excited? Because the money is just coming and you already know where you are spending. So what is the excitement about? So basically, that is a small budget that you can make, but taking into consideration all the expenses, what money you need to save, how much you need to invest, and all those, they need to be in your face there. Even companies, last time we were talking about companies budgeting, even at an individual level, we should interrogate ourselves and say, let's make our budget, this is how we are going to spend things. And of course, it requires you being genuine with yourself. For those who are married, you need to now have discussions with husband and wife, or children, or whoever is involved in terms of the monies that you spend.
Well explained.
Yeah.
To our viewers, you're watching Labor Matters right here on KBN TV. You can also go on our Facebook page if you have any questions, comments, or contributions. You can also use the number just right on your TV screen. Let's keep the conversation going. We are looking at financial management of employees. Please Any comments, contributions, do use the number which is right on your TV screen. Don't call, just drop us a text message. Coming to you, Mr. Kango, you know, when we talk about financial management, lifestyle comes in. Maybe my net pay is about 3,000 kwacha or 1,800 kwacha, but my lifestyle, whoa, it's bougie. It's bougie. I just want to show off to my friend, look, I'm living my life, that's my net pay. It's just too little. Maybe you can also talk about it. What is your take on employees who have a higher lifestyle compared to their net pay?
You know, you need to avoid what is generally termed as lifestyle inflation. A situation where you have more expenses than what your disposable income can allow. Now, many years ago, I think more than 25 years ago, I read an article where somebody was trying to advise everybody who's working, so everybody who has a regular income, that when you earn a certain amount, and I'm talking about net pay, because net pay is what is available to you to expend, yes. Yeah. You must, in advance, decide how much of it you are going to save. Yeah. If you say net pay minus expenditure is equal to savings, there will always be nothing. So it's net pay minus savings is equal to expenditure. So you must beforehand decide how much you are going to save every month. Because the savings are very, very important. Savings over time will make you, will put in a situation where you have saved enough for you to invest. Because you see, a salary, a net pay, should enable you to save, invest, and also spend on the necessities of life. So it's very, very important to match your needs with your income. Yes, if you are careless, if you lose sight of your net pay, you always find yourself in a situation where you want to spend, impulse buying. You go to ShopRite, you don't have a list. Like Mr. Kabanda was saying, where you say, no, I know what I want. When I look at the shelves, I know what I want. No. One of the weaknesses that many people tend to have is that they don't want to write down things that they need to buy. Because if you go to ShopRite with a list, it's part of discipline. And if you don't discipline yourself to come up with a list, sooner or later, you have, they say there are two kinds of pain. A pain of discipline and pain of regret. So if you learn to reduce everything to paper, write down what you need in a month to survive, only crucial things, not the lifestyle you are trying to describe, that you want to live a flashy lifestyle. Who's going to finance it? Yeah. Whatever lifestyle you choose must be within your means. You should not have a lifestyle that requires that you have a net pay of 6,000 kwacha. Meanwhile, your net pay is 4,000 kwacha. So match your needs, your monthly expenses with your net pay. That's very important. But like I said, it's always important to push that. You may not be able to invest every month, but at least savings you can manage. If you want to save, for example, maybe 20,000 kwacha, and your net pay is 5,000 kwacha, it will take a number of months. Every month, put aside something. Then once you get to 20,000 kwacha, that will enable you to invest in whatever you want to invest. So it's very important. Make sure that you only spend on what you need to spend, put aside some savings, and then you'll be able to invest at the right time.
Amazing, well explained. Mr. Kabanda, coming to you. From Mr. Kango's explanation. Now, what if someone's budget exceeds their net pay? What are some of the steps that one has to take in this situation?
That's a very common thing, and that's why I'm actually asking the viewers that we would like to hear from them, even from their salaries. Genuinely, they interrogate what they're spending on now. That's an exercise. That's actually a challenge we are giving to them. A lot of times, even during the trainings we do, you find that really, by the time you are finishing listing, your salary was 5,000. You are finding that the monthly expense is 11,000. This is a common thing. Even if you get 10,000, even if you get paid 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, this thing always happens, and it's going to always be a challenge. And this is why you find that people are in this cycle now of borrowing all over the place, because you are always finding, where is the money going? There is nothing like, my grandmother is involved in my money. Doesn't
Just
stay.
disappears.
At my bank account is like airport. Money comes in and it's out. No. The issue is really, let's take from where we are really coming from in terms of background. There is a bigger issue around financial management and literacy itself. We are not taught these things, and this is why we are encouraging even HR practitioners to help the employees by getting professionals. They are financial management professionals, they are investment professionals that can be invited to companies, and they help employees with this kind of information, because what happens most of the times, really we are just growing up, you learn, I don't want to say much about the curriculum, but the things that affect us, sometimes we are not learning these things in school. I remember when we were growing up in the village in the northern province, Kasama, and mom and dad, at the month end, they were both teachers, so they would go to Kasama to get paid, and we would make our list. They will have a budget as we were submitting lists, clothes, shoes, everything you want. And when they come back, then of course, if something has not been bought, my father will just tell you, no, we didn't buy. There was money was not enough.
Yeah.
With mom, we will interrogate her, because how we can have a conversation. Mom, why? Then she will tell you about. My mom used to say, no, meaning I've only remained with the book balance.
The book balance.
And so we grew up hating that is an Zanako thing, because that was a bank in those days. Why is this bank keeping our mother's money? This book. Why can't you even keep that book at home? So the whole issue is that you need to start learning about money really from the young age, so that you start understanding how are things supposed to be budgeted for. What do you need to do? And this is where we have to be honest with ourselves. We can grow up, we can have big positions, but money issues is not an easy thing.
No.
We can be given a big salary, but how to manage that money is a big thing. And that's why we have to humble ourselves, go to professionals who help us. Okay, this money you're getting, maybe you can spend it like this, maybe you can budget for it like this. In that way, it starts to help you even with these problems we're talking about of what happens now when the money that you are, what you want to spend is more than what you are earning. Really, for such things, there are only two options. Maybe the other people could have other options they can share with us. But for us, what we know, number one, you have to reevaluate all your expenses. You heard Mr. Kangwa saying you need to spend within what you make. What that means is that now you have to have genuine conversations with yourself first and say, is this really a need? And is this just a want? Because sometimes we mix all these things. No, I want to. There are things that you actually don't need. So it's a genuine conversation with yourself where you sit down and say, this thing that I want to spend on, will I die if I don't spend on it? Okay, so you start reevaluating your expenses and start reducing, because your income is fixed, like we have been saying. If your salary is 2,000, you know it's 2,000. There is no magic that tomorrow, next month, and this is what even happens. You go and start borrowing. No, by next month. Already it is gone. So in the process, you are just running around now, because even when that money comes, it is going to already other things. So it's important to reduce the expenses. Be genuine to yourself and say, do I need to spend on this? Do I need to go out partying with my friends? Because sometimes we are doing these things because we need to keep appearance. But I'm on a bunch. I need to stay in this fancy posh neighborhood. Why are you staying there? In the end, you are always getting stressed. You want to go and eat expensive meals at lunch, so that wazazi why are you going there? If you can pack your lunch, pack your lunch. If you can go to these places where they sell less expensive meals, go there.
Yeah.
The key issue is reevaluate your expenses and say, genuinely, what do I need to spend on and what do I need to reduce, so that you are not stressing yourself, because trying to live a life for purposes of impressing some other people, for what purpose?
And, and also, I think Mr. Kabanda is talking about reevaluating your expenses. I think there is need to categorize the things that you want to buy. There are things that are important, there are things that are urgent. Some are both important and urgent. So what are you spending on? Some things might be urgent, but not important. So you start with those which are both important and urgent. Those you know that I must buy these, I can't do without these. Don't start with those which are urgent, but if you evaluate them, you find that they're not important. So if you stay first, you categorize into three. These are both important and urgent. These are important. These are urgent. These are urgent but not important. So that when you are budgeting, you even know, first of all, your salary in NPay is 5,000 kwacha. The first budget you make is about 11,000 kwacha. Then you start knocking out. Which ones are both important and urgent? Yeah, let me maintain this. Let me knock out those which are urgent but not important. Let me, maybe from urgent and important, followed by those which are important. Then lastly, those which are urgent. If you have any extra. And there are things that you don't have to buy now. This is August. This is September. There are things that you need not buy using your salary in September. They can wait until December. Yes.
So that is what is important really. So you evaluate your expenses. The other option you have, like we said, there are two options. Whenever you have a situation where your expenses will be more than your budget, the other option that you have on hand is increasing your income. Now, as an employee, you have to always ask yourself, what will be my other source of income? Where am I getting this other money from, so that I can match? So if your salary was, like we've been giving an example of 5,000, but your expenses at 8,000, where are you getting the 3,000, the difference? Is it, I don't know, some people have got all sorts of means. So, but clearly to it, we should emphasize, involve yourself in genuine and legal things, so that you can then increase your income and match your expenses. That also helps. But if you really know that you're in a space where there is no other source of income, there is nothing else coming from somewhere else, then reduce. So those are the two options that we were talking about. But again, if our viewers have got other options, it's interesting we'll be learning from that.
Amazing. Coming to you, Mr. Kabanda, what are some of the key financial decisions which employees should take keen interest in to make sure that they improve their financial health? Sometimes these things usually happen. You know, losing a job is something which is uninvitable. Today, we may just, okay, Patricia, we don't want your services anymore. These are things that usually happen day in, day out. What are some of the financial decisions that employees need to take keen interest in?
One of them, which we may not have talked about, is building an emergency fund. You know, an emergency fund will help you attend to things like an illness that probably may not be attended to in our maybe hospitals or clinics, something that will require an amount which is higher than what you normally spend on the simple illnesses. Now, this will help if you've got the habit of putting aside savings. If you don't save from your income, you know, sometimes we tend to lie to ourselves as human beings. We think, no, I'll start saving when I start earning so much money. No, if you can't save from the little that you have, even when you have so much money, there's a tendency among human beings to expand your needs when your income expands. So if you can't save, provide for emergency funds when you are earning little, be assured that even when you start earning much more, you still have the same habit. They say all the habits die hard. So from your income, just make sure that first of all you spend wisely. And spending wisely is about distinguishing between what is necessary or finding the difference between needs and wants. And also on spending on what is just important, not what might be urgent but not important. And you need, like Mr. Kabanda said, that we may not be taught these things in school, but you need to spend time with people who are knowledgeable in financial management matters. Go to them. you know, I'm having this problem of always my budget, getting to budget overruns. And when you get cut over, by the way, you know what you are doing? You are spending your future earnings. You spend what you are going to earn in the future. So you need to discipline yourself not to spend your future earnings. Don't get debt. You only get debt if you think that the money you borrow will probably be used in business, and then you are going to get a profit, and you'll be paying back from a profit. Don't borrow to buy chicken. No, because you're going to pay interest. You know, the chicken, you would have even forgotten how it was tasting. So invest wisely. Make sure to put aside emergency funds every month. And these things sound like theory, but you see, when you are confronted by a disease which you never thought about, you or your children or your spouse, that's when you remember that actually, no matter how little you get on a monthly basis, you always have an opportunity to put aside some money. You won't die. After all, there are people who are not working and they are not dying. So what about you as a 5,000 kwacha as the net pay? Do you believe that you cannot save? You can save. If those who are not working are not dying, maybe they have 1 meal a day. Do you think with 5,000 kwacha you will die? No, you cannot die. You can also find a way of spending on foods that cost less, but of course balancing your diet, but spend less. So invest wisely, build up emergency funds, and only spend on that which you know you need to survive. And don't neglect the needy areas, such as Mr. Kabanda talked about budgeting for transport. Don't think that, visa is over. No.
God will provide.
You will fail to go to work and get fired. And you know, losing a job, you can lose a job not because you have misbehaved. Maybe the company closes down. So if you don't have these emergency funds, how are you going to survive? At least be able to, you don't want to lose your dignity by becoming a beggar. So have it in your mind that this job I have may not be permanent. It might be classified as permanent and pensionable. But is it really permanent? No, because anytime you can lose it. You can lose it maybe because you've been fired, sometimes you get yourself into trouble, maybe unknowingly, you make a mistake unknowingly, or the company closes down. So let's discipline ourselves in terms of being wise spenders, building emergency funds, saving, and have that investment mind. Because Mr. Kabanda also talked about the issues of having more sources of income. Yeah, imagine your salary is taking care of 3 bills. I've usually categorized bills into 3. You need to have, because we eat every day, it means you need money every day, not so. And then because we have monthly bills, water, electricity on a monthly basis, we have monthly bills. And then we have children, school children. They may not be your children, but maybe you're looking after orphans who need you. They need to, you spend on school fees every 3 months, or they are to invest it every 6 months. Now, just depending on one source.
Well explained. Mr. Kabanda, coming to you, the issues where I want to make sure that my lifestyle and my net pay go hand in hand. Maybe if they don't go hand in hand, I want to get a loan so that we keep that appearance to very the people watching. Now, how should employees use salary advances and loans if they get access to such?
Yeah, so really these things, they happen a lot in workplaces, and people go about borrowing. So first of all, as an employee, let's actually start with the employers, human resource practitioners. When the employees are joining the company, it's important that they make things very clear to an employee in terms of the conditions of service, the benefits. So if in the company, remember, salary advances and loans and things of that nature, they might not be in the laws, but the companies, depending on their ability to pay, they can have that kind of benefits where they allow employees to get advances or loans and things of that nature. So it's important that from the HR perspective, human resource practitioners and business owners or managers, they make things very clear to the employees in terms of how much the employee can get, the thresholds that have to be respected. In many companies, they have that 40% threshold.
Yes.
Yeah, so that needs to be very, very clear. Now, for the employee, like you said, sometimes it is about, you don't even have an idea of what you want to spend on, but just because they have told you, no, here we can get
available.
It's available.
Let me get it.
Let me get it. And then on Friday, charira, maybe a big buyer for us as guys, for, you know, for the ladies, they go and buy some very expensive hair. Nowadays, there are even perfumes for 7,000, and hair for 8,000 or 10,000, or whatever it is you're spending on. The issue is that money you're getting, it's money you would have gotten in future, but now you have decided to get it now. The issue is, what is it that you're going to spend on with this salary advance, with this loan you're getting? And this is why it's important even for HR practitioners, normally when we have these kind of talks with them, help the employee. Really, the law is very clear that the employer shall not decide how the employee spends the money. That is very, very clear. However, where an employee might need some advice, they could be advised. But don't, for employers, we are still emphasizing, don't tell the employer how they spend. So the only thing, even as part of this program, we can only advise. And the employee has to make their own decision. So if you're getting a loan, is it to go and is it for consumption or is it for investment? Those are just the questions that you have to ask yourself. If you get your salary advance, you get, there are companies that pay gratuity in advance. Maybe you save a certain period, they give you your gratuity in advance. What are you going to spend on? Is it just to have